scan the QR code to join the chaos. Face up to 3 CPU players or challenge your friends together on the same screen. Pick a role with unique strengths and risky drawbacks, chain correct answers for huge multipliers, and unlock crazy power-ups to attack opponents or protect yourself. Ready to dominate the leaderboard?
Are you ready to start? Here we go.
Place a marker on the city in Russia where George Kennan was stationed when he sent his famous long telegram in 1946. How many of the original United Nations Security Council members held permanent veto power? Which Soviet leader was the principal figure opposing Western powers in the early Cold War years? What was the name of the Soviet intelligence and security agency that played a key role in early Cold War espionage? The Truman Doctrine was directly triggered by crises in Greece and which other country? In which city did Churchill deliver his famous Iron Curtain speech in 1946? Which Eastern European country was the first to fall under a Soviet-backed communist government after 1945? Which Soviet foreign minister consistently obstructed Western proposals in early Cold War negotiations? What was the primary purpose of the Marshall Plan introduced in 1947? At which 1945 conference did the US, UK and USSR divide post-war Germany into occupation zones? What do you know about the key figures who shaped early Cold War diplomacy between 1945 and 1947? Which country hosted the summer 1945 conference where Truman, Stalin and Attlee finalized post-war arrangements for Europe? What term described the Soviet policy of establishing friendly buffer states in Eastern Europe after 1945? Which items relate to the breakdown of the wartime Grand Alliance by 1947? By the end of 1947, the wartime alliance between the US and USSR had effectively collapsed. What is most widely cited as the fundamental cause place a marker on the capital city that was divided into 4 Allied occupation sectors after World War II. What conference in 1945 first revealed serious tensions between the Allied powers over post-war Europe? Which Eastern European country was the first to fall under a Soviet-backed communist government after World War II? Which 1987 report by the State War Navy Coordinating Committee helped shape early American Cold War strategy? In what year did the Soviet Union detonate its first atomic bomb, shocking the West? That's the end of this round. Let's check your score. Let's keep going. Ready? Let's start the next round. Which doctrine announced in 1927 pledged American support to countries threatened by communist expansion? Which country, alongside Greece, triggered the Truman Doctrine in 1947? Which country did the United States primarily design the Marshall Plan to prevent from falling under Soviet influence? Place a marker on the city where the Potsdam Conference took place in the summer of 1945. Which country was the subject of the first major Cold War crisis when the USSR pressured it over territorial concessions in 1946? How many European countries received aid under the Marshall Plan by 1952? Which Western Foreign Minister proposed a unified European response to the Marshall Plan in 1927? How many occupation zones was Austria divided into after World War II? How many years after the end of World War II was NATO founded? The United States officially rejected isolationism after World War II, largely because of its new rivalry with which power? Germany was divided into how many occupation zones after World War II? In what year was the Cominform dissolved? Which country was George Kennan representing as a diplomat when he sent his famous long telegram in 1946? What organization did the Soviet Union establish in 1947 to coordinate communist parties across Europe? In what year did the Berlin blockade begin? Which items relate to the founding and purpose of the Cominform in 1947? What was the name of the American policy aimed at preventing the further spread of Soviet influence? Which country did the Soviet Union pressure for territorial concessions in the first major Cold War crisis of 1946? Place a marker on the city where the Yalta Conference was held in February 1945. What was the main ideological accusation the Soviet Union leveled against the Marshall Plan? That's the end of this round. Let's check your score. Let's keep going. Ready? Let's start the next round. Place a marker on the city in Missouri where Churchill delivered his Iron Curtain speech in 1946. Which country hosted the 1947 founding meeting of the Cominform? Which US president first articulated America's Cold War policy of supporting free peoples resisting subjugation? What city was divided into 4 occupation sectors after World War II? Which terms relate to the specific outcomes agreed upon at the Yalta Conference in February 1945? Which items relate to the Potsdam Conference of 1945? Which country was divided into 4 occupation zones by the Allied powers after World War II? Which international body, founded in 1945, failed to prevent early Cold War tensions due to Soviet vetoes? The term Iron Curtain was famously used in 1946 by which statesman? The ideological conflict at the heart of the Cold War was between capitalism and which opposing system? Which country hosted the February 1945 conference where the Allied powers negotiated the post-war order? Which agreements at the end of World War II divided Europe into Western and Soviet spheres of influence? Place a marker on the American city where the United Nations Charter was signed in 1945. How many nations signed the original United Nations Charter in 1945? What do you know about the division of Germany into occupation zones after World War II? George Kennan's influential 1946 cable outlining Soviet intentions is known by what name? What can you tell me about the early Cold War crises that prompted the Truman Doctrine in 1937? In what year did the Yalta Conference take place? Which country received the largest share of Marshall Plan aid? Which country did Winston Churchill represent when he delivered his Iron Curtain speech in 1946?
And that's the final question. How many did you get right? Check your results in the app and see your final score. Let us know in the comments how you did. Challenge your friends, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more quizzes.